92nd Street Y on a special project called 7 Days of Genius. Starting today, the network will devote this week to taking a closer look at those geniuses who have changed the world. Now, we see this all the time in the entrepreneurial world. And so today, we're highlighting 5 innovators and great thinkers whose business ideas have made a big difference in the way we live. Richard Branson's genius comes from his love of a challenge. Early on, he latched on to the attention-grabbing brand Virgin and launched his first venture, Virgin Records, going after the big established record stores. Then came the record label, which had big hits during the British punk rock phenomenon. In the mid-'80s, his love of aviation led to the creation of Virgin Atlantic Airlines. And these days, he's taking on another challenge, leading the way in developing commercial space travel.
I have a slogan called which is "Screw it, just do it." If you're thrown in the deep end, if you're thrown into a swimming pool, as long as you've got your parents watching you, the chances are you'll end up swimming.
Jeff Bezos is the genius pioneer of e-commerce. The engineer and entrepreneur launched Amazon.com in 1995 to sell books on the burgeoning internet. Explosive growth led to an expansion to other products, making Amazon a multi-billion-dollar company and the template for other online retailers.
I want lots of happy customers.
We're in this for the long term, and we're going to take great care of our customers.
Bezos is busy growing his empire. He purchased the Washington Post 2 years ago and is now turning Amazon into a digital media powerhouse. Sarah Blakely had a simply genius idea that turned into a booming business. She cut the legs off a pair of pantyhose, leaving the top part, and called them Spanx. She researched and wrote her own patent, self-funded the company with $5,000 in savings, and did focus groups with friends and family. Her keen sense of marketing led to the product's incredible success.
With the Spanx packaging, I took a really different approach. I mean, the whole industry had beige and gray and white packaging with the same half-naked woman on every package, and I went bright red and put 3 animated cartoon-looking women on the cover of the Spanx package. And I think that women just really responded to it.
She still owns 100% of the company, becoming the youngest female billionaire in the world. In 2010, when Travis Kalanick and Garrett Black couldn't get a cab in San Francisco, they decided the taxi industry needed some disrupting. The result was Uber, an app-based network that allowed users to find a taxi or town car. The company became a touchstone in the sharing economy. And Andre Young, better known as Dr. Dre, is the rapper, record producer, and entrepreneur who, dissatisfied with available sound technology, created the headphone line Beats by Dr. Dre. They became wildly popular, and in 2014, the company was bought by Apple for $3 billion. There are, of course, many, many more entrepreneurial geniuses who have had an enormous impact for businesses large and small and consumers. Washington Post small business columnist Gene Marks is the head of the Marks Group, a firm that provides technology and consulting services to small and medium businesses. And Julie Hanna is an entrepreneur and investor who is a board director for Kiva. It's so good to see both of you guys. So, Gene, it's interesting you use the word genius, right? Because to be a genius, it's more than coming up with a good product, right? We can be smart and good business people, but you look at someone like Jeff Bezos, right? I mean, I would say he is a genius. So what separates the two?
Well, I mean, there's people that have sort of creative genius, as we know, and we all have different definitions of what they are. I deal with mostly small business owners. I do not deal with guys like Jeff Bezos because I think that they are really one in a million kind of guys.
Right.
The genius that I see in people that run companies successfully and grow them are the ones that know how to buy something for $1 and sell it for $5. And although that doesn't sound like that's like some markup of a genius, it is a fundamental thing that business people need to know to be able to profit. And I meet too many people that they say, oh, this guy's genius, or, oh, he's smart, so he knew what to do, he was born with that, or whatever. Some people just are not really capable of being successful entrepreneurs or growing big companies because they don't have that DNA to do it. Mm-hmm. And one of the basics of that DNA is knowing how to run a profitable business and knowing how to grow it.
And Julie, you're an investor, and you've had some great companies that you've invested in Lyft and the Lending Club. And so when you're talking to entrepreneurs who you're thinking about backing, how do you determine, okay, I think there's a little bit of genius here, that's someone who's not just going to build a good company, but they're going to build a great company?
I'd say it comes down to one thing, which is aspiration. So what defines the difference between kind of a big idea and a gigantic idea is the aspiration of the entrepreneur. Are they thinking on a mass scale basis from the get-go? That's really, I think, a defining factor. It's what makes an idea big versus small. The other is kind of this relentless obsession and pursuit of a better way, and sort of a boldness and a creativity around that.
Right, if you're Julie, maybe you don't necessarily always want to invest in the genius. You want to invest in the great business person. And when you find the person who is both, right, well then, aren't you lucky? And isn't the world lucky? All right, well, thanks, guys. I think this is a really fun topic to talk about. We went through a big list of geniuses. You can imagine we talked about 5, but there are so many more in all kinds of fields that we are going to be talking about on MSNBC this week. Coming up, a lot more advice to help your small business grow from Jean and Julie as they answer your questions on going from freelancers to full-time employees and building a customer base online.